Hi, it's Alaska Granny. Maybe you're like me and you keep reading that people say, it's too late to be a prepper, it's too late to stockpile. And you know what? It is never too late. As long as you're still alive, there are things you can do that you can be better prepared for whatever is going to come your way. Think back over your life. You've probably had some emergency situations, even some catastrophic events. But you picked yourself up and you got going again. And because you've done that, you are stronger and smarter and more creative, and you have more tenacity to do the things that you need to face an uncertain future. So don't think of prepping as too late. Think of it as mission possible. So I have a mission possible for emergency preparedness today. If you've never gotten your prepping supplies together, or you want to take an inventory and see how you're doing, these are some ideas, the categories of what you need to have for your emergency preparedness needs. We don't have to look very far, just into the news, to see what's happening in Ukraine. A country of 42 million people, and suddenly 2.5 million of them have fled the country. In the first 17 days of this conflict in Ukraine, 5% of the population bugged out. Are you even thinking that you might have to do something like that? Nobody wants to do such a thing, but it happens, and it's usually when we least expect it. So what you want to do is be prepared. Think about the things that could happen to you. What are the supplies you need to stay in your home, and what would you need if you were forced from your home? Then you also need to pay attention to how this went down. They kept telling the people, everything is fine, don't worry, we're not going to be invaded, there's nothing to worry about. Suddenly they were being invaded from all directions, and then people fled in panic. Perhaps if the government had been more truthful and said, we need to start thinking about what we would need to do, the people might have been better prepared to face this terrible situation. Yes, many probably would have still left the country, but it wouldn't have been so chaotic where they were just leaving things along the side of the road because there wasn't room. Their car ran out of gas, they had to abandon it and keep going. It wouldn't have been so much fear of the unknown. You still don't know and you'll be afraid, but it wouldn't be complete panic. And that's what we want to avoid as preppers. Even here in the United States, we have supply chain issues, rising prices from everything from food to gasoline, and there are so many things that we can't even find in the store, or they're ridiculously expensive. And it doesn't appear that things will be getting better in the future. And that's part of why you need to pay attention and collect your news from several different outlets, because this side's going to tell you their point of view. This side's going to tell you their point of view. The news is not just telling you the facts so that you can make up your own mind. They're swaying it into the part they want you to follow and listen and believe. So take your news from many outlets and then look for the truth in it yourself. Glean what matters to you, but please pay attention. Don't let watching the news cause undue fear. Think of it as you're gathering information and you want to do what's best for yourself. And yes, a lot of it is terrifying, but then if you watch some other news, read some other articles, you can find that there are unique angles that perhaps you never thought of. The first thing, if you don't have supplies, is you need to get food. A great place to start is a big old bag of beans and a big old bag of rice. You can also stock up on pasta, oatmeal, dried foods that are going to last for a long, long time. And then if you're okay and nothing happens, you don't have to eat it. But it can live in your pantry, it can live in your shelter if you store it properly for decades. Then you should also get some canned and packaged food so that you have something that you can open and eat. Get some easy things that are hardly any cooking, and then make sure that you have some paper plates, paper cups, napkins, and some wet wipes, some simple dishpan or something that you could wash a few dishes if you needed to, but have that supply of paper products so that if you had no access to running water to wash those dishes, that you still had something that you could eat from. Get a box of the largest, strongest, biggest, most sturdy black plastic garbage trash bags that you can. They are extremely handy. There's so many things you can do with them. You're going to need them to collect all the trash. And you may have to think about it. What if the trash doesn't come anymore? That's one of the services that just goes away. Cities have even had problems where they go on strike and the garbage is piling up on the street corner. It's not unlikely that you would want to be concerned for how to keep your trash contained and as sanitary as possible. When you're stocking up on things like beans and rice, you can put them into even a container that you cleaned and dried well yourself. You can put them in Mylar bags. You can put them into buckets. You can use a food saver vacuum sealer. You can use oxygen absorbers. But the most important thing is that you have that food and you store it as well as possible. Don't worry about storing it the best way possible. Worry about having it and storing it the best way you are able to, because you can always do it better later if you have an opportunity. But you need to have that food. Another option is to get some emergency meals. Like I buy these Mountain House meals and I get them occasionally whenever I have a chance, because you just add water to these. I can have a stockpile of them. They're sturdy containers. I can keep them together in a tote. I can get them out if I want to go camping. I can put them in my bug out bag. I can use them if I want to even just go on a picnic, or I have them for emergency situations. These are tasty. They come in all kinds of flavors, varieties. The Mountain House meals are designed for you to tear it open, add boiling water, and then zipper it closed and allow it to cook in the boiling water and basically become rehydrated. But the nice thing about these, a lot of people don't realize, is even if you can't boil water, you can still add the water, close it up, and allow it to continue to rehydrate just with the cold water that you have. It will take longer, but you'll still be able to eat it. Would it taste better with boiling water? Probably, but the important thing is that you have the food and you're able to utilize it and use it to nourish your body. Look over the Mountain House, because a lot of them are very tasty and they're very convenient, but they do tend to be an expensive way to have emergency meals. But there are reasons why you might want canned foods and reasons why you might want dehydrated foods and everything in between. So keep looking at options and have a variety of food in your food storage stockpile. The utilities may not always be running where we are, and so it's a great idea to have some kind of a camp stove. And then you want to pay attention to how to use it. Study it over before you need to use it. If it uses butane, propane, whatever the fuel is, make sure that you have plenty of that also, and that you understand how to light it. If you're ever using anything like your barbecue grill or your charcoal cooker, of course you would never use those in the house. And some of them are safer to use inside, but you'll still want to have a window open. So read the directions carefully, because there's not one right technique or one easy to use stove that meets everybody's needs. Read over how they work, learn how yours works and what are the dangers and where are the safety concerns, and then use it as safely as possible. Then there's always the problem of what if something becomes so long-term that we have no more food to buy? Stock up on seeds so that you can grow food for your family and you can continue to have the things that you need. Hopefully we will grow seeds because we want to and not because it's the only way to get any food in the future. But it's a possibility. So be open to whatever solution comes along that will help you do the best you can. Stock up on bottled water. You need at least a minimum of 1 gallon per person per day. And that's just if you're drinking or preparing food. If you wanted water for hygiene, washing dishes, all the other things we use water for on a daily basis, you're going to need a lot of water. You can bring it home 1 gallon at a time. You can buy big 5-gallon containers, clean them out and store them as well. You can even get a 55-gallon barrel. They're all different solutions for how to have enough water for an emergency. Get it in several sizes so that you have water you can grab and go. If you only have a 55-gallon barrel of water and you have to leave your home, you can't take that with you. So have ways you can take it with you, and also the largest containers that you can, store them safely somewhere in your home. You likely need some way to purify water. You can have a water filter. You can get something like aqua tabs, potable aqua. You can purify water with bleach. You can even boil water to purify it. So make sure you have extra fuel to go with your emergency stove. Have a first aid kit and have a first aid guide so that you can study what to do. Learn how to render first aid so that you're not caught off guard in an emergency. Stock up on over-the-counter medications that your family uses in times of need. Pain reliever, fever reducer, anti-diarrhea medicine, cough medicine, any kind of muscle rub, first aid cream, any kind of stuff that you use, you should have an extra one in your stockpile. Likely your home is the shelter of choice, but if you had to leave your home or were caught off guard away from your home, do you have some sort of a tent, some kind of an emergency shelter? You can even have a simple bivy bag. You can make a shelter out of a big black plastic bag. If your windows get broken in a storm, you can use some of that black plastic to cover them over to help keep your shelter or your home secure. You could have a hurricane, a rainstorm, a winter storm, a tornado, and damage can be done to your home. So have a way that you can shore up your home and protect your home. If you need to leave your home, that's when you'll be happy that you have some kind of a tent or emergency bivy bag or something, a sleeping bag, something to help make a shelter to keep you warm. Sanitation is a concern. You can get all kinds of portable toilets. I've made several videos about different kinds of portable toilets. From one that you can fold up, it could fit even in the back seat of your car, to the luggable loo, which is a portable bucket, 5-gallon bucket with a snap-on lid that you can use if you needed to a portable flushing toilet like you might want to find on a boat or in a trailer. And then you can have more like a normal toilet if your plumbing isn't working anymore. They're also handy if you're ever going boondock camping or hunting and you're in a remote area. Not everybody wants to just perch behind a tree. You might want to have something for family members who are not comfortable just going behind a tree. Then you can provide an emergency sanitation type of toilet so that if you needed something in your home, you're going to be far happier to have that than trying to figure out what to do next. Think about your hygiene needs every day from your head all the way to your toes. What do you use? Shampoo, lotions, hairbrushes, toothbrushes, deodorant, all of the things that you would want, those should be in your stockpile. If you have one that you're using, you should have a backup. If you open a new toothbrush, make sure that you replace it, and if you don't have extras, then that's when you would buy two. If you take one, replace it with two, and your stockpile can grow. Think about the tools you might need. Everything from simple hammers, pliers, screwdrivers, the everyday tools that we use around our house. Maybe you will need to do some more sturdy work, and you might want to have other kinds of tools, but it's up to you to decide what those tools would be. Everybody's circumstances are so different. Everybody doesn't need an axe or a chainsaw, but many people do. So figure out what fits in with your lifestyle, and those are the tools that you want to have so that you can provide the things you need. I think one of the most important tools is a multi-tool because it is handy, it's small. You can use a multi-tool for a lot of the simple tasks that we need on a day-to-day basis. Think about if the power goes out, what do you need in the way of lights? You'll want everything from portable lanterns, flashlights, headlamps, batteries that go with them, and then you'll want a collection of candles, matches, lighters. What about oil lamps and the fuel that goes with them, extra wicks, and the lighters and matches that you would need to light those things? There are so many of those types of things that you can have. Be collecting a little at a time. It's not expensive to add a few things, but they could be priceless in an emergency situation. Make sure you have the personal protection that you need so you can do the best job you can ensuring your own safety, but make sure that everything you do is within the law. Have a binder or a folder, something with all of your necessary emergency papers, everything from your copies of your identification to your driver's license, your passport, your social security card, your banking information, your insurance information, your medical, your car insurance, your home insurance, your renter's policies. Adoption papers should be included, your medical records, the way to contact your doctors and your pharmacies, a list of the medicines that you take, a list of the people's phone numbers that you would need to call in an emergency. How do you get a hold of grandma? Do you need to call your boss? Would you need to call the school or your babysitter to let them know that you're okay or where you are, or find out if they're okay too? All of the numbers that you would want to have, you need to have a written copy in your important papers. And it would be a great idea to have a map of your area. If you have planned out an escape route where you would go in a bug out situation, you might include a route map with your important papers so that you can grab and go and you have those things together. I also like to keep an extra set of keys with my emergency gear. What if you go out for the day and you come home, you try to open your garage door and the power is out? Do you even have a key to get in your house? What if you lost your keys to your car? Say you had to evacuate your building in a hurry and you ran outside and you don't have your purse. Do you have a spare set of keys somewhere if you can never go back in that building? You need to have those things so that everything doesn't become a disaster or a catastrophe. It just becomes a situation that you need to solve the problem, but you can say to yourself, oh, I know where I have an extra set of keys. They may not be right at your hand that you can go pick them up immediately, but they would be available so that you can solve that dilemma. Everybody needs some kind of a bug out bag or a 72-hour kit. In case of emergency, you want to have all of the different areas of prepping in your bug out bag. Everything from a change of clothing to a rain jacket, a bit of food, some tools, flashlights, maybe a tiny sleeping bag, some first aid gear, all of the areas of prepping. If you had to leave your home right now, do you have the way to take care of yourself for a few days until you can figure out what to do next? And you know, if you ever watched on the news, if there's a catastrophe and if FEMA is coming, they don't show up an hour after you need them. They may be there in 3, 4, 5 days more. They may even take a week or 10 days. And if you live not in a city, you may find that some people say FEMA never came. They were on their own. Depending on how small of your area is, they may be in the city dealing with all of those people, and they don't ever get around to where you are. So whether you want to accept it or not, FEMA may or may not be available to you in the time frame that you're thinking of. So figure out how to take care of yourself. You want to keep your car full of gas. You want to have emergency cash on hand. There's a lot of emergencies that can happen to you personally that you can solve that problem if you have some cash on hand. What if your kid needs money for a field trip? You don't have a catastrophe because you have a few extra dollars. What if you are away from your home and your car runs out of gas? You have some emergency dollars. You can fill that tank up. What if something happens and your house becomes not safe to stay in? You could have that emergency cash that could pay for you to stay in a hotel room so that you aren't stranded in a little tent outside your car in the rain. It can seem overwhelming for all of the categories of prepping and all of the things you think you need to have and do. But what you need to remember is it's baby steps. You can do a little at a time. And the only wrong way to be preparing is to not have any preparations at all. You've seen those people that go out to the store on Christmas Eve and they can't find anything or the stores are closed. You don't want to be in that kind of a predicament in an emergency situation when your family needs to have their basic needs met. Prepping is lifestyle insurance. I can have the food, the water, the supplies that I need. And I don't have to rely on others. I don't have an emergency on my hands just because I don't have something that I would normally want to use. That's why we have Mission Possible. We can all do the best we can to smooth the way so that our family has the best outcome every single day. If you enjoyed my video, I hope you'll share it with someone else you think might like it. Please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.